All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Antler&FeatherCo Podcast, the podcast for new and adult onset hunters. My name's Vince, and I'm going to be one of your hosts today. We're actually coming back to Season 2, and we're going to do things a little bit differently. This is episode number 11 of Season 2, but it's also episode number 1. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm not wearing this stupid jacket for no reason. We are going to take a little bit of a detour from our norm. Normally, I like to bring on guests and have very pointed questions so that we can all learn very specific things. With the upcoming turkey season, I kind of wanted to have a little fun. I wanted to relax a little bit from having such a serious show. So I am joined by my co-host, and I'm not going to tell you who he is yet. I'm going to make you wait for it. But we are going to be doing turkey camp. So this is going to be a multiple episode thing where me and my co-host, Bryan, Bobcats and Broadheads, you guys know Bryan. He's been on the show before. We are going to sit down and we're going to just talk back and forth with each other as well as multiple other guests. Sometimes we might have one other. Sometimes we might have three. I don't know. We're going to treat this as if we're hanging around the fire at turkey camp, and we're going to talk gear, stories, relevant things in the hunting industry right now. And we just want to have fun leading up to the turkey season. So without further ado, Bryan, how are we doing today, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm glad to be back on your show, man. I always have a great time BSing with you and just, wearing turkey stuff and acting a fool.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to be totally transparent, Bryan, I like you as a friend, but your episode happened to be I think you're top 2 overall in numbers of downloads of all the episodes I've had.
That was because my mom. That was my mom did that.
She just kept clicking.
Yep.
Well, thank you to her for that. But no, I've gotten to know you more and more and more, and I love your page. I love talking to you. You're a fun guy. So when I was kind of thinking about, I think I want to co-host. I want to take some of this incredible stress that comes with being the only host. I want to take that off me. But no, I wanted to have a fun show, and I couldn't think of a better person to have on here with me. So thanks for committing to this. I don't want to tell people what I'm paying you to do this, but the check's in the mail, buddy. So...
Oh, I'm waiting for it. That's just like the pay raises I used to get in the Marine Corps. Just keep coming,
They just never quite show up.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, before we jump into this, I want to tell you guys about a couple friends of the show. Let's get that part not out of the way because I love all these guys. But first and foremost, Buzzard Roost Saddles. Now is the best time for you to pick up a saddle. You've got all spring, all summer, and heading into the fall to get used to a saddle. Bryan, you can back me up on this. The first couple times in a saddle, you're going to be wondering how in the heck you can ever hunt in one of these things. But Buzzard Roost makes it easy. They're super comfortable, super adjustable. So I want you to try one out. Go and use code AAFP10, all caps, on their website, and that's going to get you 10% off your very own Buzzard Roost saddle. Secondly, Our Grounds Coffee Co. If you guys have been following with that, Ed's going through kind of his first trial and tribulation with his company, and I think he's handling it very, very well. He had his roaster kind of just, from my understanding, close up shop out of nowhere. And Ed's doing everything he can to get his own roaster and get everything back up and running. So guys, make sure you support him. Normally I would give you a code, but because Ed's trying to buy a new roaster and things like that, I would encourage you, go buy some merchandise from him, pay full price. Let's help Ed out. Let's get that coffee flowing again, because that stuff keeps me running. So check out the website, ourgroundscoffeeco.com. No code this time because I want you to pay full price, but get yourself some gear and let's get him back going. The newest partner of the show, my buddy Kyle, runs this pretty sweet 3D printing company. It's called More Innovations. So he makes 3D printed stuff that caters to the guy who has his own archery shop at home, does his own bow work. He has a lot of really cool things, little caddies and things to keep track of your tools and all your screws and things like that so you don't lose them while you're working on stuff. And then he's got I'm going to use a big word, Bryan. Are you ready for this?
No.
He's got a plethora of other things that he makes that they're just awesome. I use the 5 arrow pocket quiver. I really love that thing for just shooting around the house. I'm going to take it with me on my total archery challenges. And I think that thing's awesome. So check him out, moreinnovations.com. If you use code all caps AFCO10, that's going to get you 10% off everything over at More Innovations. And last but blah, 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 blah. That's a good one. Last but not least was what I was trying to say. Check out Spartan Forge, guys. As we're going into turkey season, we want to do e-scouting. We want to keep track of waypoints, all the different things that we want to keep track of. Spartan Forge is going to do that for you. It is the best mapping app that I've ever used. I really do love it. If you use code all caps AFCO, that's going to get you 20% off your full subscription to Spartan Forge. That's it for the friends of the show. Let's get into it, Bryan. And before we get too far into it, let's just say a prayer real quick, and then we can just come down off the limb like a turkey and fly into wherever we want to go. So, Lord Jesus, I thank you for another day, another opportunity to just enjoy your creation by having the ability to record a podcast, having the ability to breathe your air, to wake up, to walk around. These are all things that we take for granted every single day. And I think we tend to forget that everything is under your control. You could snap your fingers and it could all be gone. And the fact that you have enough love for us and grace to just allow us to enjoy everything on earth. We thank you for that. I thank you for Jesus. I thank you for what he did for us on the cross. Again, without that act of love, we would have no hope. And we would not be able to do the things we love to do, like go turkey hunt, go out in the woods, shed hunt, record podcasts, make friends, make relationships. None of this would be possible without Jesus. So we thank you for him. I ask that you would be over this conversation. I know we're going to have a great time. You know, we look like goofballs wearing our turkey stuff. We're going to have a great time talking about turkey-related things. And again, I just thank you for giving me the ability to do that. So be with us. Help us have a great, fun conversation. And we ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. That was a mouthful, brother.
I know. I was going to pray that I don't overheat in this jacket too, but I didn't think that was very appropriate. That's one of those silent prayers. He's got me covered.
Mine's an East Coast one, so it's like basketball shorts.
Yeah, mine is too, but it's like, it's the mesh, but it's still like heavier.
Yeah.
Like it's a good quality. I don't remember if it's Northwoods. I don't remember what it is, but it was one of those things where I wouldn't buy it, but it was on sale. So I was like, okay, I guess I can pay the sale price for that. But so speaking of gear, other than, I think that a leafy jacket is the most important part of a turkey outfit. It's also the least important part. But what kind of turkey vest do you run, or do you run a turkey vest? How do you carry all your gear and stuff around through the woods?
Dude, I am probably the cheapest person you will ever meet when it comes to hunting. Buying like gear for myself.
Yeah.
So I run a Joe Rogan fanny pack. Right. So I keep all my stuff in that. And then my buddy's turkey vest like fell apart. So I took the seat off of his and rigged a carabiner and I hook it on the waistband of my fanny pack. So I'm just walking around with the butt pad flapping around. And I get in my fanny pack and I do all my stuff, man. It's just, and it seemed to work so far.
What all you carrying with you? Do you travel pretty light?
Oh yeah, I got
in terms of calls and stuff.
Couple mouth calls. I got this box call that's like just because it's super quiet, it's super efficient. I'm not doing a whole lot of scraping because I'm horrible at that. But I can do a mouth call. I got this stupid foam thing that I set on a stake because it all collapses down, and then I shoot it when I'm practicing for my archery in the yard. I post it up and I shoot through it just to make sure I'm still on. But
well, hey man, that's a great way to use your decoy.
Yeah.
Well,
it was foam. It's like a Walmart deal. I think it was like $14. So
you can't beat that.
The beard fell off. I think maybe my dog chewed on it or something. I don't know where it's at, but.
Well, and it seems like decoys, you get like those Dave Smith decoys that they just look like exactly like a real turkey. And you see the toms come in and they tear up that thing, whether they think it's a Jake or they think it's a hen, they're going to town on whether they're beating it up or they're beating it up. That's terrible to say.
No, it's perfectly fine.
You also see the same thing with $14 decoys.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories where they used to just cut out a piece of cardboard in the shape of a turkey, spray paint it or paint it black, and that was their decoy. I think that toms get so like wound up in the moment. Like I think they don't have any standards. They don't care.
No.
Like a piece of cardboard, sign me up.
Yeah. We were all teenagers once, same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for
I
sure.
got out of buying expensive decoys. So I tried to get into duck hunting, and I bought like a Mojo, super sweet. I had a couple decoys. I went out with my buddy, and one wood duck came in, and I smoked it right before it hit the water, and he goes, hell yeah. And then he started shooting my decoys. I was like, what are you doing? He like shot my Mojo up. Like, I was like, all right, man, I'm not spending money on decoys and crap like that anymore. So
did he think they were actual ducks?
No,
What was he
thought
doing?
that I was shooting decoys, so he was going to shoot some too. Yeah.
Whoops.
Needless to say.
Well, that's an expensive mistake.
Yeah, he was my Elmer Fudd hunting buddy. He was more about shooting than anything else.
I can't blame him. I mean, that's the, I've never been waterfowl hunting, but it seems like it's either really, really like amped up. There's birds coming in and everyone like it's World War III, or it seems like you're sitting around cooking bacon in a blind. Like, I don't know.
It is
to me, it seems boring.
Two very big extremes. You're either in it or you're not. And when you're not, it's cold, you're wet, it's miserable. It's just like, all right, man, I need to get up and move around. I need to do some stuff. Well,
yeah, I think like when it's cold out and you're sitting in the saddle or in a deer stand and you're just freezing, that's bad enough. But then like mix in the fact that you're wet. Like, I'm sorry. Everyone says like, once you waterfowl hunt, that's your favorite. You'll never go back to anything else. I'm like, that sounds miserable. And it doesn't sound worth it to shoot my gun 13 times at, even if I do get it, just doesn't, the reward is not there for me. I don't think. I don't know.
It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. Blasting away, doing all that, but there's so much more that goes into it, time and money, and I can do cold or I can do wet, but I don't do cold and wet. I've been there, done that, and I'm getting too old for that stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned money and time. Like, I've got a buddy at work he's asked me for probably 10 years if I wanted to get into the duck blind drawing with him, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, yeah, if we get one, then the only stipulation is you have to come help build the blind, because I guess you got to build one every year. And it's just, I'm not afraid of hard work, but I also don't want to do unnecessary hard work that I don't think is going to pay off, you know? And then they're like, yeah, we got 65,000 decoys we're going to put out. And I'm like, where did you get the money for? Even if I know those decoys are not $1 a piece, and even if they were, you're talking like, legitimately tens of thousands of dollars in decoys. And to me, man, that's just not my thing. I just can't get into it.
I'm the same. I like going with friends who are really into it because they spend all the money.
So what you do carry with you, what are your main pieces of gear that you are taking into the turkey woods with you? Toilet
paper, first and foremost. At least a good ball of it, because it always happens. I get excited. I hear them gobbling. I hear them. They're coming down to the roost. I can see them, or I hear them, whatever. And then those creative juices get to flowing, and it's like, all right, now I got to crap. So
yeah,
you can't get up. You're not moving, a whole lot anyways. So
I think that's one thing from newer hunters that is one of my, like, if across any type of hunting, if you have you're going to a desert island, you get to pick 5 things to take with you. Toilet paper's 3 of those things. And I think new guys laugh about it because maybe they haven't experienced it yet, or non-hunters laugh about it. I had it might have been my wife even. I was going through my deer bag or my turkey vest, whatever it was, and I pulled out toilet paper the first time, and she's like, "What do you have toilet paper in there for?" I'm like, "What do you think I have toilet paper in there for?" And it's like, guys, it's a real thing. It's gonna happen to you. Some people it happens to every time you hunt. Some people maybe it's just once a season, but it's gonna hit, and you're not gonna want to have to cut your shirt up when it does, But I didn't mean to get away from the conversation there. I just wanted to reiterate the importance. Like, that is a legitimate piece of gear that you need to take with you in the woods. If you have one cargo pocket, fill half of it with toilet paper, just in case. But anywho, what other things are really important that you take with you?
So I always have a release. So some bow hunting turkeys. I was shotgun.
You don't shotgun?
I used to, but it just got too easy. I guess I mastered it. We'll call it that. I'm so full of crap. My eyes are brown.
Well,
no, so I always have an extra release. Rangefinder's not really a big deal because I always have a decoy out and I know how far the decoy is. So I always kind of know that. And then really just camouflage up. Scent doesn't matter a whole lot. And then if you can brush in a blind, brush in a small blind. I have that fan thing that I have that I sit behind so I don't have to. It's like a quick pop-up tent almost, but it's just a front panel.
Yeah.
And that's a lifesaver. And that's the only way I got away with shooting turkey with my bow last year, was sitting behind that thing.
Yeah. So do you tend to you just don't like to carry a lot of stuff just because you want to be minimal, or you just don't want to buy anything?
There's two parts to that. I don't want to carry it around. Because we go way off. I mean, we walk probably 2-3 miles down a road, and then when we hear a gobble, we jump in the woods. So we're a definition of running, gunning. So I don't want to have to carry all that stuff. And vests are expensive. I didn't realize how. I mean, even like turkey chairs, like the turkey chair that I have, costs like $50, and I was like, I ruin this thing like I do regular like lawn chairs every single year. My wife's like, how often do you actually sit in that thing? And I'm like, well, a lot during the season, and then of course I have to explain, and she's like, well, that's the most expensive turkey we've ever bought, So
that's a great part about hunting. And I've said it before, is we tend to try to justify our addiction and our horrible spending habits with, hey, think of how expensive it is to buy beef and to buy all this meat in the grocery store. When you're hunting, you're providing. No, that deer or that turkey cost you thousands of dollars. Like, you could way buy a year's worth of beef for like a third of what you end up spending on hunting stuff.
Yeah.
They are not cheap.
No. And so we grew up like my wife and I, we've been married 18 years this year. So we have two daughters, all of our stuff. So we're used to living pretty frugal. Me being in the Marine Corps, her stay-at-home mom taking care of the kids while I was deployed or whatever. So one income is all we've lived on. So I just kind of make it work. I found an old seat that fell off my buddy's vest, and I carabined it to my fanny pack, Yeah. And it just worked. I'll
talk to you more about it. I went back. So last year I used a Nightingale Run and Gun 100 chest pack. I don't know if you've seen those. I wanted to be minimal because the vest I had before, I cheaped out on it. It was like $25, and it was made out of like jogging pants material. So like, you're turkey hunting and like you got your gun and like you're trying to just turn to get that angle, and it's like, shh, son of a bit. But so I didn't like that jacket. It was real loose, and it was like, I'm on public, and especially that year, not knowing what I was doing, I was crawling through all kinds of stupid stuff. You hear people say, well, you got to go through the thick stuff to get to them. And so I took that completely literally, and I'm like, I'm snagging on everything. I'm taking thorns to the face. And so I was like, I'm not doing that again. So last year I got that chest pack, and it's basically a bino harness is all it is. But the inside's made for like pot calls and strikers, and it's got mouth call places and pockets on it. And I really liked that last year, but I couldn't quite carry all the stuff. I carry quite a bit with me into the woods, and I don't know if it's because I don't ever use any of it, so I don't know why I think I need it, but like, it's one of those like, rather have it, not need it. But so I have that chest pack, and I might just send that to you. You might make use of that. But this year I'm going to the Nightingale Run and Gun 200 vest, which is that thing's sweet. It was I actually got, I think it's like $100 vest, and I went to my local Tyson's, And for whatever reason, they had the thing on
like
clearance.
The chicken farm?
No, we have it's kind of like, I don't know what you would have. You know what like a Tractor Supply is?
Yep.
Kind of like a farm and feed store. So it's kind of like that. And they had this Nightingale Run and Gun 200. I think they screwed up because they had it on sale. I think it was like 50% off. And I was like, checked with the lady. I'm like, is this $50? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you turkey season's coming up. This is a really great vest. So if you guys made a mistake, God forgive me, but I took advantage of it. So I got that vest, and it's sweet. It's really low profile. It's got pockets for everything. It's got like a little book bag type deal on the back of it. And yeah, so this year I'm going back to a vest just because that chest pack, I like to bring binos with me, and I just couldn't figure out where to put them because I had this thing right where they should be. So I don't know. I got that thing laying around. If you want
I don't ever take binos in the turkey woods, man. It's so thick here. You're not shooting even deer hunting. You're not shooting past 40 yards on a good day.
Yeah.
So it's realistically, I know where 20, 30 yards is. I put that decoy out there and I set up and I just call them in. So
yeah. Do you always hunt with a decoy?
I have not one time, and it bit me right in the butt. I had one. I was out with a buddy of mine. We were on public, and I set him up first. I set me up, and I had trail cams out there all year long. I know there's black bear. I know there's bobcats. I know there's big deer. Yeah. Oh. So I'm sitting against a tree, we're dissecting angles of fire when I was shotgun hunting, and I hear this like footsteps coming behind me. I'm like, okay, so now I'm thinking. I'm done calling because I heard him. He cut me off twice. Now I'm done calling. He knows exactly where we're at. He's looking for some tail. So then I hear this, like, it almost sounds like footsteps from a grown man coming behind me. And I'm sitting against this tree and I'm like, oh man, guns on my lap. I'm not ready whatsoever. I'm like, well, what if it's a bear? And then I'm getting in my head. I'm like, what if it's a bobcat?
Yeah.
What? Holy crap, I have to look. I have to see what it is. So I poked my head around a tree. 4 yards from me was this giant freaking turkey. Biggest turkey I've ever seen in my life, swear to God. Locked eyes with me, squawked, and took off on his takeoff run and started flapping like thunder. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to get my gun up to shoot him in the air. And I was thinking I'm a duck hunter again, and it's not working. Safety's on, I'm all screwed up. My buddy texts me and he goes, did you just stir up a pterodactyl? What the hell was that thing? Because it flew right over him. And I was like, oh my God, now I have to poop. So toilet paper came.
Enter toilet paper. We came full circle. Well, guys, that's the show.
Well, I ended up calling in 2 jakes for him. 2 jakes came in. He thought it was one because they're smarter than we think they are. Well, I'm not sure about that. They may just be scared retards, but one would feed and the other one would have his head up, and then they would change positions so they could kind of alternate, who was viewing what. And he smoked one first time out, and he goes, well, I mastered that. What else you got? And I was like, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, you should have just made fun of him and be like, just make fun of him for being Jake.
You may as well have shot a girl.
Right. Oh man. So kind of getting off the turkey thing, I guess it's kind of partially, you've been shooting a lot of turkey with your bow and stuff. I'm just curious, how are you liking that bow now that you've had it for, quite a while? You've put quite a few arrows in it. You still in love with that thing?
I love it. It's probably the best investment that I've made as of late in my life. I really stepped up my game, went to the Hoyt. I knew I wanted something fast because I have super long arms. I have 28-inch draw length. So, and then I went down the heavy arrow rabbit hole. I did this and that and the other, and I was only shooting like 249. And I was like, and I had 2 deer get away from me this year that I did not get pass throughs to on. And I was just like, one went in the swamp and the other one was in an area where I could not recover because they shut the area down after that 1-day hunt. So go back to the drawing board. I need speed. I can play with arrow weight up and down. That's not a big problem, but I can only get so much speed out of this bow. So I freaking, good buddy of mine out at Extreme Outfitters down here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Shout out to you guys.
Shout out.
He's like, dude, I want you to shoot everything we have. I want to put it in your hand. If you want to take the grip off, we'll take the grip off. I'll fix it later. Let's do everything. I want you to be as comfortable as you can shooting this bow. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Because normally I do bow tech work for my local shop here. They just don't carry Hoyt or, any of the ones that I want. I wanted to get a hold of everything. And I just tell you, man, that thing it sung in my hand. Everything felt like the world was right. My wife was out of town, so I didn't have to explain anything to her. It was just like,
You had a couple days to make up your story.
She was she was on it. She goes, how much did you spend? I was like, well, I had to get a new rest. I'm not putting a whisker biscuit on this bow. That's ridiculous. And then I had to get the inline, which is ridiculous amount for a freaking drop away rest. It's like, well, then I bought a new sight because I didn't want to take apart my other bow just in case. I need a backup. And she's like, how much? And I was like, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling.
You're supposed to have lost interest by now, and you're not supposed to be still asking this question.
It came up probably 5 or 6 times. She was just like, how much? So I ended up sold a gun before that, so I had extra money. So it was in the budget already. And then I sold a gun. So because, man, I haven't shot a gun in probably 4 years. Other than just target practice, just, normal stuff. Even my shotgun, I haven't, it's just, I don't hunt with them anymore. I'd rather hunt behind a bow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that leads me to a question then. Do you do anything different with your arrows for turkeys? I know some guys throw on, gigantic mechanical broadheads or what is the Magnus one? Is it called a bullhead or something? And it's just this freakishly huge, like 3-blade. So, do you do anything different or?
I run a SWAT broadheads, A4, and the thing opens. I mean, it's like a 2.5-inch cut anyways. So, and it's a chisel tip. It's just, I know the way it flies. And it'll fly just like my field point, and I just lay it on them.
Yeah. Are you going for the old decap, or are you
nope, body shot all day long, man. I'm pretty efficient with my bow. However, I'm not that efficient. When those guys are shooting those, because SWAT broadheads make one, it's called the Chopper. It's a big 4-blade, huge thing. And we've tested that thing because I know the owner of the company, good friend of mine, and we went through like meticulous testing. So the faster the bow shoots, the less accurate it is. The further you are, the less accurate it is. I mean, there's so many factors that come into it that you have to, if you're shooting out of a blind, that opening in that window has to be exponentially bigger. You're not shooting through a small opening like you would if you were in a regular, pop-up blind. And I'm just like, that's a lot of work, man. We've already found out I'm lazy. I don't even carry gear into the woods. So,
right. Let alone a 16-inch wide broadhead.
Then they're putting all these weird, crazy fletchings on them, and all. I'm like, I know what I've got, and I know what works, and I'm just gonna keep running it until it doesn't work anymore.
Well, it seems like most people have the same success with like if they just use a regular hunting arrow versus these crazy turkey-specific setups. And I've seen some of them. They're like 6 fletch. And like the helical's real deep or real helicaled. I don't know what's the right word.
Really
for
twisted,
it, but offset. And they make some really crazy looking ones. And I don't really see that those guys are killing any more efficiently than if you just shoot a regular.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. When you see, I'm sure you've seen the decapitation videos. Like that looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the concept behind it, sure, but when that thing is that close and he's drumming and he's, dragging dirt and my adrenaline's going. I've already got toilet paper pre-staged in my pants for when I shoot this thing. I can't, I'm not taking any chances,
Right. Do you, do you feel any different with a turkey in front of you with your bow as opposed to a deer? Is the adrenaline dump the same for you?
So I've gotten pretty proficient, I'll say that, very loosely, with deer hunting and my comfortability in maneuvering, especially in a saddle. I know I'm higher, I can do different things, but eyesight on a turkey is just so much greater. So that adrenaline is pumping. As soon as you go to grab that bow, you're like, oh crap. Now I have to draw. Now I have to get my sight right. Now I have to make sure I don't shoot that freaking stupid blind in front of me. You know?
Right.
So all of those things come into play, and it's just heightened that much more. For me, with turkeys, I enjoy it. It's a lot more challenging. Like I said, I don't know if they're genius and they can see really well, or they're just scared to death of everything and can also see really well.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's that.
So
yeah. That's the one, my one apprehension with trying to, I would love to bow hunt a turkey just because I haven't done it, but I also will not sit in a blind. I can't. It's boring to me. For anyone who's sit on a field edge in a blind with decoys, if that's your jam, then have at it. I'm happy that you're happy. I personally cannot do that. I'm so run and gun that I will run and gun myself out of the game. You know what I mean? Like, I can't sit still. And especially, I can't imagine trying to run and gun with a bow and just, like, I've seen how skittish a turkey is, and they don't even have to be that close to you. Like, they'll pick you off way out of bow range. And so I just don't know how anyone is able to get drawn, get on it, and be able to make that come together. I don't know how you would do that.
It's extremely difficult, but I think that's what adds to the fun of it for me. You know, having to pick that bow up, making sure I'm in the right position, making sure I can draw it, making sure I'm not going to slap myself in the leg when the limbs come back and deflect. You know, I mean, there's a million things that go into it, but a good buddy of mine, he cannot sit still. We try to sit still, and then he's like, hey, my glasses are fogged up. I can't even shoot if I tried. And then he's like moving his legs around. He's like, so he is like the perfect run and gun guy, you know? But it's like, he's like Chris Farley. He moves around. It's like, all right, man. I'm like, all right, you got to not move right now. There are 4 hens right now coming to this field. Just sit still. There's something coming behind them. I know it. It's just like a high school kid chasing these 4 girls, you know?
Yep.
And he goes, but I can't see out of my glasses. I got to move them. I'm like, then you can't see it. Oh, you dummy.
That's called get yourself some contacts.
Dude,
bro.
I don't know if he can. He's just like, oh man. He's this guy from Boston. I love him to death. He's one of my best friends. He's like, I'll screw that up. I'm going to mess it up. And then it'll fold in my eye, and then we'll have to go to the hospital and this, you know. I'm like, oh my God. Because if there's something that's going to happen that's going to go wrong, it'll happen to him or his son.
So what kind of plans, do you know when your season opens?
April 8th.
April 8th. So what are your plans? You got anything, like, how do you prepare for your turkey season? Because if there's one thing I've noticed, there's like 3 people in the turkey world. Guys that are preseason scouting, just like they would a deer. They know where their turkeys are. They're running trail cams, blah, blah, blah. They got their blinds or their setups all ready to go. Then you got guys like me. I'll go out like a week before, maybe, or maybe the day before, and just try to roost them or just check it out. And then you got guys that don't care at all. They just show up. Which guy are you, A, B, or C?
So I'll go with an A-.
Yeah.
So I don't run trail cams. So I'm always scouting. So even when I'm deer hunting, I know I've seen turkeys in the tree saddle, you know, so I know where they're at. I know which way they're coming from, where they're going. There's a couple cut fields on the base that I hunt. So I know where they're coming from and where they're going to. I know the swamp that they roost in, and I'm always looking around when I'm sitting in a tree deer hunting. And then probably a week and a half, 2 weeks before, I'll leave early for work, drive through the woods, and just stop and just listen. Mm-hmm. Just sit outside the truck, and I just listen. Won't call, won't nothing, just listen. Waiting to hear them come down. Because, I mean, when they come down from the roost, it's like freaking thunder. It's like boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. You know? So, okay, I can kind of locate. I know where they're at. And then I'll go back in the evening when I get off of work, and I'll listen again. And I just wait. And I kind of develop a plan. I use Spartan Forge, like you're saying. I map it all out. I know where I'm at. I know where I'm going. And then I just kind of, and it's a half-cocked plan. Don't get me wrong. because I'm running around through the woods without a light, without anything in the morning, setting up a decoy, which is probably in the wrong spot, and slipping into the brush. But it's tended to work out a couple times. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And it's, I don't run trail cams for turkey just because I don't want to run trail cams year round, because that gets expensive, especially if you're doing like, paying for the cellular data and all this crap. Yeah. So I'm cheap and lazy. So there's that. We've well established that. So I probably shouldn't have to say that anymore.
What's the turkey population like in your area?
It's very.
Do you guys have a pretty good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Last year, a good buddy of mine actually shot a nice tom, 8.5-inch beard, inch and some change spurs, and then he also shot. He had like multiple encounters. Then he shot a bearded hen. Oh yeah, I was like, dude, that's cool, man. Like, how often do you hear of that? That's He goes, she came in just flapping her gums, and I saw a beard, and he goes, I almost didn't have time to pull my gun up. He goes, I was going to shoot her from the hip. And I was like, dude, you're not shooting 3.5-inch shells from your hip.
Oh,
you're not doing. I was like, you're going to break wrists.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have to say this because I don't know who's seen it, because with this whole Instagram ban thing that I got going on, I had a buddy, we went shooting guns, and I was patterning my shotgun, because I said it with the podcast with Trevin. I feel like deer hunting is like bow. It's bow all the way. For some reason, turkey hunting, like maybe it's just the way that I got into it, but like the traditional feel of turkey hunting to me is like with a shotgun. I don't know, but I was patterning my gun because last year when I shot my tom, I shot him. I shoot a 12 gauge, 3-inch shells, TSS. So like I knew what my gun's range was, and this turkey was on his way to the tree. Like it was like the last minute before it was not legal. And, I shot him at about 60 yards, and I went running out there, 'cause they're flopping around. You got to go run out there and help them along.
Yep.
And, I'm running, and like my gun is on my sling, and I shoot a single shot. So for everyone who's like, holy shit, that was not loaded, but I'm running, and this gun's flopping around, and then like it falls, and like I wasn't about to stop, because you get in that mindset, like you got to get to that bird. So like I'm dragging this thing. There's 10 inches of caked mud like up the barrel, and I got this bird, and he's flopping around, because it was a kill shot, but it wasn't like I said, I had to help him along. So like I'm trying not to get spurred and trying to get a good foot on his neck or on his head. And like I'm trying to use the butt of my gun to like kind of move him and this and that. And I get back to the truck, and I take pictures with it and everything, and I posted it, and somebody's like, what happened to your gun? And I'm like, I look at the picture, like my buttstock was like completely twisted sideways. And like I said, there was probably legitimately 5 or 6 inches. Like I think when I ran, the barrel went nose down into the dirt, and it just full. So anywho, I say all that I wanted to make sure my red dot was still on from last year, because I beat that gun up pretty bad last year. And, I pattern with like dove loads, real light target loads. And then once you get like the pattern looking right, then I'll throw 1 or 2, hopefully only 1 or 2 actual turkey shells through it. And we had my buddy with, and neither one of them had shot. I think my buddy Tom might have shot a turkey load, but the other guy, he had not ever shot a turkey shotgun. And so I was like, hey, why don't you pattern? Because I didn't want to shoot it. I didn't want to get that final pattern. And he's very proficient with firearms due to his job. So I was confident that he'd put a good shot so I could actually see if it's on. Man, that thing blew his arm off. Because I run that what is it, Stevens 301 turkey single shot, and it's not a very heavy gun, but that thing 12 gauge kicks like a mother.
Oh yeah.
And so that was a good time. I'm glad we got that on video. But
so here's a good one. Campfire stories.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. We call him the Turkey Whisperer. He is a student. He is a student of the trade. The guy is, so him and I are very polar opposite. I'm very much a deer hunter, and I turkey to practice for deer. He is a turkey hunter that is, okay, I'll shoot a deer. So he has box calls, slate calls, this and that, the vest. I got the seat off of his vest that fell apart. So he's the one who shot Tom and the bearded hen last year. So he's like, all right, hey, we're going to go. We got to drop my kid off at the bus stop, and then we're going. I'm like, okay. So we're walking down this road, working around jets for 20 years. I don't hear hardly anything. And I stop. And I'm like, did you hear that? He goes, you didn't hear nothing. Shut up. Come on. Kind of the way we talk. I'm like, all right. We walk right another 10 yards. I hear it again. This thing is just hammering off. I'm like, tell me you didn't hear that. He goes, all right, fine. Let's just do everything that you want to do because you've killed so many turkeys. Here's where we go. And I'm like, Jesus, man, I'm telling you, I hear him. Do you not hear that? And then all of a sudden, he's probably, this Tom is probably 40 yards from us, hammers off. He goes, oh, shit, get in the woods. Two 40-plus-year-old men jump this 5-foot ditch, don't even set up a decoy. This dude is running. He just hits the box call like this. This turkey is literally running down the road we just got off of. So I see him, but my partner's over here. He's calling with his back to him. And he goes, are you going to shoot him? I go, I'm not going to shoot you as well. You know, because you can kind of talk a little bit. He goes, well, if you don't have a shot, you tell me I'm going to shoot it. And I was like, shut up, dude. I was like, here he comes. And then all of a sudden he stops behind a tree. Just so there's, my partner's over here. The tree is right here. I'm full up, ready to go, gun hunting. He pokes his head around that tree. Boom, all she wrote. And then it was just like, I tackled him because I'm excited. Broke his box call. He falls in the ditch. And it's just like, this turkey's flopping in the road. He goes, all right, well, I guess we're done. What do we do now? Because he's tagged out. I was like, oh my God, man. It was just, that's just two type A personalities just clashing, you know? So, but I mean, it was fun. You know?
That's always a good time when you got two dudes like that. Stuff's going to go down, you know, especially, I don't know. I guess it would be different if you both had tags. Because then it's like, that's one thing I've wondered. You go hunting with a buddy and you both have open tags. Who gets to shoot the bird? So how do you decide that?
He is, like I said, we call him the Turkey Whisperer. We call him T.W. Goldman is his name. And the dude is like, if he's, you know, steward, he's, you know, phenomenal turkey hunter. Mm-hmm. He goes, dude, I want to call in a turkey so close that you don't have a shot. That's what he takes pride in. He wants to, okay, you shoot the turkey. And I've screwed it up more times than I've gotten it right. Yeah. You know, but the dude is just phenomenal at calling turkeys. Doesn't use a mouse call because he'll screw that up. But I mean, hitting the slate, hitting the box, hitting, you know, the chirp, he'll do it all. And then he's like, I want you to shoot it. You know, but, and that's how we kind of roll it. And then even if it's his turn, I'll go with him and I just sit there like a, you know, 12-year-old boy, like hanging out with dad. Like, all right, man, I'm going to watch you shoot this turkey. Don't fuck it up because I'm going to laugh at you. Sorry for the effing.
Oh, you're fine, man. So something you just said made me think about this when you, you know, as I've gotten into photography a little bit, I was like, you know, I was driving some country roads and like wanting to get a picture. I got a couple pictures of some deer that were out there. And I was thinking, you know, once you tag out, it'd be cool to just go out, go hunt, but you're hunting with a camera, you know, do the same things you would and just get pictures. But then I took it one step further in my brain. I was like, you know what would be fun if you were to tag out? I think it would make a good television show too, or a good YouTube channel where you were like this extremely good, you'd have to be a really good hunter. But the whole point is to get that thing, like to sneak up or to get them called in or whatever, just to scare the shit out of them. Like get him in there and you just pop up, surprise, and just watch that animal's reaction. Like no harm, nobody's getting killed or anything like that. But I think that would make for some funny videos. I really enjoyed the trend last year where guys were shooting animals with Nerf guns.
Oh yeah.
It like at first I had the feeling of like that's not very ethical, like that's not cool. But then like it kind of, I was like, I don't know. I mean, they're not hurting anything.
But how many of those deer that they're doing? So I've seen a ton of these videos too. That a lot of those are in those folks' backyards, and they're almost cohabitating. You know, like if you got cats or dogs or whatever, the deer. You know, I've seen dogs walk up to a deer. They don't care. You know, especially if they're feeding in your yard and this and that and the other. So, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You're not pestering the animal. Half of them don't even move. You know, getting hit.
Right.
They're like, all right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was, I saw one guy, he took his crock off and threw it at an elk. It was like a cow elk or something. And yeah, for me, as much as I enjoy watching it, I could never do that just because like my opportunities are so thin.
Oh yeah.
Like where I hunt, like I've got to send a real arrow because that may be the last chance I get.
Oh yeah.
But
well, so it's super tough around here public wise because we're in the South. These guys in their squatted trucks will drive down certain dirt roads and literally just hit a turkey call out of their truck, and driving up and down this road, and there's public on either side of it. So the turkeys get wise to this. Like I said, I don't know if they're extremely smart and scared of everything or what, but they get wise to that. And then they don't go to the call anymore.
Yeah.
So now they wait until they see a hen or they, you know, and it's just like, oh guys, come on, you know, turn the truck off, be a hunter, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the part of, you know, being in Eastern North Carolina that kind of gets to me. If they're not running dogs, you know, because the dogs don't know it was public land. I'm sorry. You know, they're literally jumping stuff with their truck, trying to call from the truck, whatever. So that makes it super difficult. So there's another challenge. You can't do any of that on the base, which is a huge advantage for me. So I can drive to the base, set it up. There's not a lot of turkey hunters on the base, just because I don't know if they're too lazy or it's too hard, but it's, you know, I have kind of free reign. So it's definitely, that adds a difficult aspect to it when you got guys driving down trucks and just, you know, like when I practice my turkey calls in the truck, I don't do it to AC/DC. I'm not rocking out like you are, you know, but windows are up. I'm driving my wife crazy, you know, and just trying to get that rhythm down, that, you know,
the one, just so that we can say that one thing was educational on this, and that for new hunters, that is a very, 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 very good point. Birds in the very early spring, birds will be pretty receptive to calling. As the season goes on, that fades away. They get smart. They get used to it. They know what the game is. They figure out that you're not what you think you're, what you're trying to say you are. So don't waste those valuable, like, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to say moments, but like
those pre-scouting.
I've seen a lot of times guys will go out the week before, 2 weeks before, you know, we're all excited. We want to hear a gobble, and they'll go out with their glass call or with a mouth call, and they'll just, you know, just to locate, just to hear a gobble. Well, if you're doing that multiple times before your day one even opens, by the time day one comes around, you'll hear the term, you've educated that bird. Same thing goes for rattling or grunt calls in the deer woods. You educate them. So it's kind of like the boy that cried wolf. Now when you really need it to count, they don't believe it anymore. They know what's going on. So make sure you guys, as much as you want to hear a gobble before the season, try to hold off. Use a crow call, use an owl hoot, use a coyote. I've seen guys, Shane Simpson will do a real loud coyote thing. Do stuff like that that's not mimicking a hen, because tell you, man, you're really screwing yourself up if you're doing that before the season starts.
So I forgot my owl call on my way to work one morning, stopped by the turkey woods because there's a nice plot right down the road from where I work. And I was like, oh man, I'm digging through the truck, nothing, because I like to get out and just listen. So I just start slamming the truck door, and that sound is, oh, okay. And then they hammer off and I'm like, okay, locate them. Don't do a call. Don't do anything crazy, but I know where they're at, where they're coming from, possibly where they're going. And like I said, that's all subject to change because I'm not an expert by any means stretch of the imagination. I just get lucky.
Yeah.
But you know what? Lucky pair.
Yeah. Lucky. A lucky bird is still a dead bird, Yeah. Gosh, what was I going to say?
There's no telling.
Oh, it was something to do with calling. Oh, shock gobbles. That's what I wanted to say. For new guys again, turkeys have this. It's what Bryan was just talking about. Turkeys have this weird tendency to. Is it? I guess it's a shock gobble.
Yeah, almost
when you do something when they hear a loud noise. So it could be thunder. It could be the slamming of a car door. It could be, like I said, a crow call. It's real, that real sharp, hard. That for some reason generates just a.
Yep.
I don't know. I wish I could know the mechanism because it seems like you would think it would be like just kind of like someone taps you on the shoulder and you're just like, oh, shoot. But with the way turkeys are, you would think that they wouldn't make a loud noise where you can locate them. You would think they would have evolved to stop doing that. But that is one tactic. Like if you really, really can't help yourself, go preseason, try to, listen to him naturally. And then like Bryan said, you can try to get him to shock gobble. I don't know that there's a ton of harm in that. I mean,
so
your turkey OG friend might disagree with me on that.
Oh no,
I'm not experienced.
We slam doors. Owl calls, the whole thing. He says it's 9 chances out of 10 they're doing that shock gobble from the roost. So even if okay, that's where they're roosting, they're coming down, and you can kind of figure out a flight path because their wingspan's actually pretty big. They're not running into the thick thorns that I always get caught in. They're not. They're going somewhere where they can find that hen, they can locate, and you can kind of, Spartan Ford's a perfect example. You can look on that map and say, okay, well, he's not going that way. He's not going into the water of the swamp. He's coming to me. This is where we need to be. Yeah. So, because that's all those shock gobbles we've always heard. I mean, knock on wood, 9 chances out of 10, that dude's still in the tree. So, and if you call and I'm telling you, they're, like I said, I don't know if they're smart or scared to shit, but you hit that call, he says, that dude's in a truck. I'm not getting out of this.
And that's a crazy thing about turkeys, and I've seen it in my own experience. They have the ability of literally seeming to be able to pinpoint you. They could be 300 yards away. As long as they hear you, it's like they know exactly where to go. I don't know how they do it.
They have an echolocate, because almost like a dolphin. It's the best way it was explained to me, because I'm layman, I don't understand a whole lot, I can barely read, but when they hear that duck, 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 they're like, boom, 300 yards this way. And that's the other thing is, like, when I first started, dude, I was calling my tail off, bam, 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 hitting the slate, hitting the mouse call, hitting the box call, hitting everything. And it's like, all right, dude, you just screwed up. That dude is never coming back. He's gone. He just moved high schools. He's looking for a new girlfriend. You know?
Right. That's one of the hardest things, especially, like, I'm still a new hunter in general, but like that first year, that's the really hard thing to figure out is how much is too much. When do you need to be aggressive with your calling? When you need to stop calling? And there were many times where, like, you kind of, I don't know, I got this like internal feeling of like, okay, you need to shut up. You need to shut up. And then you don't hear that bird for 5 minutes. And it's like your internal body heat, like temperature goes up, and you're like, start to like shake and itching. You're like, I need to hit. I need to call. And then you do it and you blow it. You didn't realize that bird was like 25 yards, they just had to step out from a tree. Like, so that's why I got so, I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I got pretty proficient with the mouth call, because that first year I was only doing a slate call. So it was like, all right, I haven't heard him. And like, you reach for the slate call and start moving your hands, and boom, there he goes, busts off.
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing to learn. And like the self-control of, he knows you're there. He's more than likely coming. If you got him to gobble once, he's coming your direction at some point in time. That may be in 5 minutes. That may be in an hour. He's going to come your way. You need to not screw yourself and stop. Like, I know you think you sound good. You want to hear your own turkey voice, but you got to stop.
Yeah. So I found, in my very limited experience, and I'll freaking hit the call. If I get cut off, let him finish his gobble, let him finish hollering, and then I'll hit it. I'll wait 3-4 minutes, hit it one more time. If he cuts me off, I'm done. Do not do anything else. But I've also had the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where I was sitting on a field edge, and I watched 4 hens dusting, like the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, they're literally just rolling, kicking dirt up, everything. Here comes a tom.
Yeah.
Boom. I've got my decoy out. Hens are coming to the decoy because I don't know if they've already had a piece of him and don't necessarily care. They're coming to the decoy. He has no idea the decoy's there and or I am there. And then I freaking hit that mouth. I just hit one time, just went just like that. The dude looked at my decoy, spurred up, and just came running. Like, I'm going to F you up. You are not getting into my stable of horse. This is my stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just laid it on him. He was so laser focused on that decoy. Grabbed the bow, shaking. Oh my God. The toilet paper, my underwear came in handy, and I just freaking let him have it.
Yeah, and I haven't really had, I have decoys, and I take them with me every now and then, but on public land, I'm real sparse with it just because I don't want to get shot. You got, seriously, I mean, you got people, I run into a lot of hunters. A lot of them are very responsible. They would glass it first from a distance. They would see, okay, that's a decoy. They would back off. But turkey hunting is real dangerous in regards to like gun season. Like, you're not wearing orange. No. Your decoy can't have anything on it that's not natural, because that'll spook a turkey. And you have that chance that, we'll just call him Billy Bob, is out there running around. And just, so public land, I don't mess with decoys too much, but one thing that I have found helpful, and I've seen a couple places for guys, if you're gonna run a decoy, is decoy setup, in terms of, there are ways to place your decoys. If you're running a hen and a jake, or whatever your setup is, there are correct ways to set them up. You don't just plant them out there, but also be cognizant of the direction that those birds are facing. Because as Bryan just said, those toms, when they see those decoys, a lot of times, if it's a jake, he's going to run in fired up because he's about to beat the piss out of that jake, because that jake is taking his lady. If it's just a hen, he may run in and get close so he can stop and start strutting. I've seen it said, make sure that your decoy is facing away at like a 45, because when that tom runs in, if that hen is pointed back at you, or that jake's pointed back at you, more than likely he's going to circle to the back, and then he's also looking straight at you. So have you seen that same kind of a thing definitely with your decoy placement? Yeah.
So if they're pointing at you, this is what I've been told, and I've seen it a little bit. If they're pointing at you, the oncoming turkey says, what is he looking at? Not at me. Is there something in those woods? If, like you said, if he's pointed away from you, that turkey's not looking for a head-to-head, confrontation. He's going to try and circle. So if you have it like at a perpendicular or a 45, that laser focus is not, you're in the peripherals. The little movement, the leaves moving around, those things are not a big deal to him, because he's either he's F or F mode, F or flight.
Yeah.
He's either fighting or he's effing, one of the two. So let him laser focus on that and not worry about the peripherals. all high school boys at
Right.
one point. We know exactly how that goes. So
Right. Yeah, that's definitely for sure. How many? I meant to ask you earlier. How many tags do you get?
two. We
where
get
you're
two.
at?
So one male bearded, and then one male or female bearded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys break your seasons up? Like in Iowa, we have seasons 1 through 4. Illinois is 1 through 5, maybe. Do you guys just have one continuous
just
season?
one spring season. There's not even a fall season for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So that's
why not?
It's I think because and I've done a lot of research, and it's kind of here and there. So a lot of times what they'll say is, what I've read is that they almost hunted them into extinction. So then they had to actually import turkey back into the area to kind of repopulate. So then they cut down on the season. So you get a spring turkey. It's for a month and some change, and then that's it, dude. You're game over.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I know there's a lot of guys who disagree with, like, Illinois is one of those states where, I don't know, can you guys hunt past 1 o'clock?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So Illinois, you got to cut off at 1. You can hunt the morning, and that's it. And I've heard it explained, and like I said before, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I've heard other people who know what they're talking about say that basically it gives the turkeys the second half of the day to be real turkeys and actually, engage in the breeding process, because, in a state, if you're hunting them all day long, if they're constantly running until it's time to roost, or, that's just double the time you can kill, it can cut down on population. But I think that's, for me as a turkey hunter, understanding the population issues in a lot of places. Like, I have family in Arkansas, and I think there might be four turkeys in all of Arkansas now. I think they gained one. But no, I think that some of the rules in turkey hunting in terms of like trying to help the resource out, I don't have a problem with, but I have seen people who are angry about things like that. And I would challenge, if you're the person that thinks that some kind of turkey regulation stupid regarding population, do your research on the history of the wild turkey in this entire country. And specifically in your area, because there's plenty of places in the country where, for lack of a better term, you've had to borrow turkeys from other states because you ran out.
You almost extinct your population. Dude, if there's no male turkeys around to breed, the females are going to eventually die out. They're just they're not repopulating, and then there we go. We're back at 0 turkeys, and then we're bringing turkeys from Florida and all these different Osceola turkeys, Merriman turkeys, this and that and the other, and then they're having to essentially configure themselves to the population or to the atmosphere that they're in, because it's from where they came from. So then there's that dwell period, and that's some folks get mad about it, some and those people are just, they don't understand. They okay, do some research, and there's reasons why. The Game and Fish Department is not. Do they do some weird things sometimes? Sure. Probably because they have to. They've dealt with people who are trying to skirt the law, left, right, center, and then there's those reasons that they have to do those things. And you know what? Yeah, it's okay. They're doing it inevitably for your benefit. So you just need to figure out where it is that you fit in, and then just fit in and keep driving. Don't be a jive ass turkey. You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah. Well, I think that can we can end on that one. We don't want to waste all our material. We're trying to go for a series here. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We'll have to bring on
campfire stories for days.
Right. We're going to, so guys, just for the future, we're going to be, right now is like busy for so many people. Like today we were going to get, another person or a third person. And you can ask Bryan this, I kind of came up with this idea way late. So I shifted gears really late. And so for all of you guys who I talked to today and was like, hey, I got a podcast in 45 minutes. You want to hop on? Yeah. We're going to be here for a while. We'll talk to you next week. But no, we're going to try to get, multiple people on here, and just for a little while leading up to turkey season, just have some fun, casual conversation about turkey experiences. I find that that's a great way to learn specifically about turkey hunting, because there's a lot of things with deer hunting. Deer can be, I mean, when you're talking like mature bucks, they're not predictable, but deer can be predictable. Other game animals, you can kind of figure it out. Turkey hunting, there's a lot of different scenarios, like a ton, that I think is really beneficial to hear from multiple people and situations they've been in to learn from, because it depends on your hunting style. It depends on where you're hunting. It depends, are you hunting a field? Are you hunting the woods? There's a lot to be taken in. So that's kind of where we're headed for the next couple weeks at least. And Bryan's going to be with me the whole way through. And yeah, we're just going to try to have fun with it in that regard. So Bryan, let's let everybody know, just so they can, if they're not following you yet, because you've got you, and then what's your twin's name?
Oh,
Cooter?
man, Cooter's coming in full effect. I've gotten the
Whitetail Wednesdays.
Yeah,
Turkey
he's going to
edition?
be Whitetail Wednesday. His name is Cooter Cat, and he's my close cousin of Bobcat. So he's going to be on Whiskey Wednesdays, maybe Whitetail Wednesdays. There's no telling what's going to happen with this guy. He randomly just shows up. So we'll see how he fans out. I've got a couple folks that say I only tune in to see what you're going to do on Wednesdays with this dude.
Yeah.
So it's taken on a whole alter ego. I'm waiting to see how my wife likes it when I show up with the mullet on and nothing else. But no, she's a good woman. She's a good woman. She puts up with all my stuff, so I'll keep her around for a while.
Yeah, I love that you guys, especially lately, like I love seeing her being more involved. Filming for you, and you guys do your workouts together and stuff. I think that's really cool, and I've really enjoyed seeing it. I think it's funny. It's a great break from all the, like, everyone is generally super serious. Everyone's trying to be an influencer right now. Everyone wants to put their video out, and they got to make sure that you see the labels they're wearing. And, that's fine. I don't have a problem if that's what you want to do. But I think it's great when you got a dude who's just having fun, and he's having fun with his wife, especially because, I mean, that's just shows a good, healthy marriage that you guys are doing that. So let everybody know where they can find you. Well, I don't know about your healthy marriage or not, but it looks that way for me.
But she's always,
she loves you
always
anyway.
Laughing. So just for instance, last night, I don't know how far off the trail this is going. We go to our local Mexican restaurant. They all love me. They know me by name. They give me hugs, like, because it's a small town. We always get the tortillas called chichis, right? And they say, white flour tortillas. There's her and I, 2 white flour tortillas. They say, table for how many? I go, dos chichis. And they start laughing, right? And the one guy that I know very well, he goes, chichis, I didn't know that it was breasts. And then,
so
he goes, we don't like that here. We freaking love it. Come sit at the personal table. Awesome. And like, they took care of us. Like, I mean, I had to explain it to him. Even after we were leaving, one of the other guys shows up. He goes, oh my gosh, Bryan, you're hilarious. Cheese. And my wife's embarrassed. But
but she's still there. She loves you anyway.
Yeah. I don't think you'd ever laugh if I wasn't around.
Yeah. It'd be tough to do. You better hope nothing happens. You're going to be a hard one to follow.
Yeah. I say that all the time too, but she doesn't believe
ever...
She goes, I can find anyone that can do that for 37 seconds.
Yeah, well, and you can't say anything because she's not wrong.
I know, but it's okay. I had it. You know what?
Oh man,
I win every time.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, let everybody know where they can follow along with you guys. Go ahead and follow him. You're going to be seeing Bryan a lot more often here. Like I said, he's going to be my co-host on this turkey series, and then it may just continue that way. I have a lot of fun having somebody on who, like I said, you're good at keeping things light and funny, and that's right now that's that's what we need. I think we need more fun.
You only get this go round one time.
Let them know, right? Let them know where they can find you on Instagram.
Bobcats _and type the word out _broadheads. And then I don't do Facebook a whole lot. It's kind of just a mirror of my Instagram. I don't even know if I'm reposting to Facebook. So it's all on Instagram.
Cool, man. Well, hey guys, so this, like I said, we're going to have this turkey series going for a while. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope that we can have some fun and we can still learn a lot about turkeys. Make sure you guys are following us. I don't know if this part's even, I don't know if this part even matters. I was going to tell you, make sure you're following us on Instagram because you probably can't find me right now anyway.
Well, they can find me.
I've had so many people message me.
Well, they find me and I tag you in everything that I do. So
there you go. Yeah. So go ahead and give it a shot. It depends if I'm shadow banned that day or not, if I'll pop up, but we're at Antler&FeatherCo on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm going to have some more Turkey 101 videos going. I was really ambitious about that. And then I remembered I have a family, kids, and a full-time job. So that's kind of slowed that down, but I am putting together, Turkey 101. So it's going to cover a lot of the basics that a brand new hunter might want to know about turkey hunting. Keep an eye out on the website. I've got some more turkey designs that are going to come out for t-shirts. So thanks to all you guys who have been checking that out and buying the apparel. And yeah, if you guys found value in the show, if you enjoyed it, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. When you guys do that kind of stuff, that helps this show get in front of more people. It helps us grow, which ultimately is going to make you more deadly in the woods. So we will catch up with you guys next week. For Vince and Bryan, this is the Antler&FeatherCo Podcast. You are listening to the Antler&FeatherCo Podcast.